The image is iconic. A fat man with a diamond stick pin. A bag of money for a head. This is William Boss Tweed. He is the face of American corruption. A caricature of greed. A villain from a history book. His story seems simple. He led a gang of thieves. They were called Tammany Hall. They looted New York City. They were caught. End of story. But that simple story is a lie. It hides a much deeper, more complex truth. It conceals the real secret of Tammany Hall. The question isn't that they held power. The question is how. How did an organization so famously corrupt command the loyalty of millions? How did it rule the world's rising metropolis for nearly a century? To find the answer, we must look past the cartoons. We must enter the world that created the machine. Welcome to 19th century New York. It is a city of brutal contrasts. Mansions rise on Fifth Avenue. Gaslights glitter on polished carriages. But just blocks away lies another world. The 5 Points. The Lower East Side. Here, life is cheap. Wooden tenements lean against each other. They are packed with families. Dozens to a single room. There is no running water. Sewage flows in the streets. The air is thick with the smoke of coal and the stench of poverty. Every week, steamships arrive in the harbor. They carry human cargo. Irish families fleeing a famine. Germans escaping political turmoil. Italians and Jews seeking a new life. They arrive with nothing. They speak no English. They are strangers in a terrifyingly strange land. And the official city, the government at City Hall, offers them nothing. No aid. No comfort. No safety net. The city's elite see them as a problem. A threat to be contained. In this vacuum of power, something else grew. Something that lived in the taverns and the firehouses. It had eyes on every street corner. It had ears in every tenement. It wasn't a building on 14th Street. It was an idea. A network. A shadow government that held the true power in New York. Its symbol was the growling tiger. Its name was Tammany Hall. Tammany did not see the immigrant as a problem. It saw them as an opportunity. It understood a fundamental truth of this new world. A desperate man is a loyal man. And his vote could be purchased. Not with a simple bribe. But with something far more valuable. Survival. This was Tammany's secret. It built an empire not just on graft, but on a dark, twisted form of gratitude. It was a machine fueled by human need. And its chief engineer was the word boss. He was not a distant politician. He lived in the neighborhood. He knew every family. He knew who was sick. Who was unemployed. Who was in trouble with the law. A fire burns down your tenement? The Tammany man is there first. He has blankets. He finds your room. Your husband dies in a factory accident? The Tammany man pays for the funeral. He leaves a bag of coal on your doorstep for the winter. Your son gets arrested? The Tammany appointed judge might be lenient. You need a job? The city is always building. New streets. New sewers. New parks. Tammany controls those contracts. Tammany controls those jobs. All they asked for in return was your vote on election day. And not just your vote. The votes of your sons. Your brothers. Your cousins. On election day, Tammany ward heelers made sure you voted. And voted correctly. Often, multiple times. It was a system of patronage. A pyramid of power. At the bottom was the block captain. He knew a few hundred people intimately. Above him, the precinct captain. Then the powerful ward boss, controlling thousands of votes. He answered to the leaders at the top. The grand sachem. The boss. This was the engine that ran New York. It provided the services the government would not. It was a crude, corrupt, and deeply personal welfare state. A family's loyalty was earned, one favor at a time. This was the hidden truth of the machine. It gave people a stake in a system that had cast them aside. But this charity had a cost. A staggering cost. And the entire city was paying for it. The money for the coal, the rent, the funeral, had to come from somewhere. It came from graft. On a scale that is almost unimaginable. Every contract the city awarded had a hidden tax. A kickback for Tammany Hall. A company that paved a street would overcharge by 60%. That extra money went straight into the pockets of the machine. Businesses paid for protection. Criminals paid for impunity. Aspiring politicians bought their nominations. The most infamous example was a new county courthouse. Its original budget was $250,000. But under Boss Tweed's watch, the costs spiraled. Plasterwork cost nearly $3 million. In a building that had very little plaster. Thermometers cost $7,500 each. A single window shade bill came to $40,000. The final cost of the courthouse was over $13 million. The equivalent of hundreds of millions today. The building became a monument to theft. A palace built on lies. The public's money flowed into a bottomless pit. This was the machine's other face. For every family it helped, it betrayed the city. It was a parasite, slowly bleeding its host dry. The system seemed unbreakable. The press was controlled. The police were on the payroll. The judges owed their careers to the Hall. But the greed became too bold. The theft too obvious. The cracks in the empire began to show. The weapon that finally wounded the tiger was not a prosecutor's warrant. It was a cartoonist's pen. Thomas Nast, an artist for Harper's Weekly, began to draw. He drew Tweed as a monstrous vulture. A bloated Roman emperor. A fat thief with a bag of money for a head. Many of Tammany's voters couldn't read the newspaper articles attacking the machine. But they could understand the pictures. Nast's cartoons were relentless. They turned public opinion into a weapon. They shamed the city's elite into action. Reformers found their courage. Insiders, fearing prosecution, began to leak documents. The New York Times published damning evidence of the fraud. The machine, for the first time, was reeling. Boss Tweed was arrested, tried, and convicted. He died, broken and alone, in the Ludlow Street jail. The very city he had plundered became his prison. The fall of Tweed was monumental. But it was not the end of Tammany Hall. The machine was bigger than one man. It adapted. It learned. New bosses took over. Honest John Kelly. Richard Croker. Charles F. Murphy. The theft became more subtle. The organization more sophisticated. But the core principle remained. Control the votes of the poor. Control the city. Tammany's power would continue for another 60 years. It took the Great Depression, and a new wave of reformers like Franklin D. Roosevelt and Fiorello LaGuardia, to finally break its grip on New York. But its shadow lingers. The legacy of Tammany Hall is woven into the fabric of modern America. It taught the Democratic Party how to build a powerful urban coalition. An alliance of immigrants, minorities, and the working class. Its corrupt welfare system exposed a desperate need. A need that would eventually be filled by the New Deal and the modern social safety net. So what was Tammany Hall? A criminal enterprise? Or a necessary evil, born from a city that failed its most vulnerable citizens? Was it a monster that preyed on the weak? Or a flawed system that gave them a voice for the first time? The truth is not a simple caricature. It is buried deep beneath the pavement of New York. A hidden empire of power, whose secrets still echo in the halls of cities today.